I am super excited to be able to continue our series that we're in, talking about celebrating Jesus' birth. But today, we're going to continue to talk about Christmas. Everybody say Christmas. We're going to continue to talk about Christmas. But as we set up this idea of Christmas, I want to tell a quick story. So Christmas time is a fun time, right? We get all the presents, we get to hang with family, we get to do all of those things. But sometimes I feel like you get a gift, but you don't really use the gift as much as you think that you were going to use it. Like there's a lot more excitement on the front end than there is on the back end of actually using a gift, right? Has that ever happened to anybody? It's like, man, I really want this thing, but then like when I got it, I'm just like, yeah, it was cool. Okay, put your hands down. Put your hands down. This happened to me as an adult, right? So I like to just research things at times. Sometimes I get on a kick where I'm just like, oh, you know what? I really want to do this, or I want to really just pick up this hobby. And I got into this one thing where it's just like, at one point I was just like, man, you know what? I want to make shirts. I want to make shirts. So just like, you ever seen like the graphic shirts that are printed on or whatever the case may be? I'm like, man, how do you do that? I want to learn how to do that. So I started doing research. I started looking up all of these different things and trying to find different things. And I winded up finding this thing that would help me to be able to make the shirts. And the thing looked like this. Have you guys ever seen this before? Ty, go ahead and put it up on the screen. Have you ever seen this thing before? It's basically a heat press thing that they created. So essentially you can basically take the shirt and basically you could put something on top of the shirt, and then you put this heat press thing on top of it. And then once you put that on top of it, it kind of heats the shirt and it puts the graphic into the shirt, right? So I knew I got that. What happened? There you go. You see? So I got that, and I used it. The first day, I was super excited. I was just like, yes, you know what? I finally got it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to do this thing. So I got it. Let me tell you something. I made one shirt, and I never touched the thing again, okay? I made one shirt, and I was just like, you know what? This was cool, but this is a lot of work. Like, I like the idea of it. I like researching it. I like all of the things, but like, I don't really want to keep doing this, right? And I feel like sometimes that's what can happen around Christmas, where it's like we can get things, and we can feel like, oh, you know what? I was super excited about that, but like that excitement didn't really last. Or I feel like something else can happen. Like we can get so excited about Christmas and all of the things that are about to happen and celebrating Jesus and doing all of those things. We can get super excited about that, but then Christmas goes and we're no longer celebrating Jesus throughout the year. Right? We wait for this one day for permission to be able to celebrate Jesus on Christmas, but we don't take that into the rest of the year. And here's my question that I want to ask you today, and it's this. What if we could keep that celebration going? Right? What if Christmas was more than just one day? What if it was more than just this event that we did? What if we can celebrate God's greatest gift to us throughout the whole year? What would that look like? And today, I want to kind of look at what that would look like, and it's going to be through the story of the wise men. Everybody say wise men. It's going to be through the story of the wise men, and we're going to look at how they kind of navigated in this circumstance, and then we're going to try to draw some observations on how we can navigate and how we can take some of what they did and help that inform how we celebrate Jesus throughout the whole year. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to read for us from Matthew. If you have your Bibles, you can open up. I'm going to be in Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. If you don't have your Bibles, that's okay. I'm going to read this for us. I'm going to read the story of the wise men, and I'm going to make some quick observations from the story of what it may look like for us to continue celebrating Jesus throughout the whole year. Okay, so Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. So Matthew's going to be in the New Testament. It's going to be the first book in the New Testament. I'm going to start reading, and it says this. Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea. This happened while Herod, everybody say Herod. This happened while Herod was king of Judea. After Jesus' birth, wise men from the east to Jerusalem, they asked, where is the child who has been born to be the king of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose, Now we have come to worship him, right? So in this story right now, it's saying that Jesus was born in Bethlehem. There were these wise men that they knew, because prior things that had happened, they knew that once they seen this star, that they can follow the star to go and see where Jesus was, right? So they start going to go look for Jesus, and they're starting to ask, where is this child? They're asking people, where is this child who's been born to be king of the Jews? We're going to keep reading. Verse 3 says this: when King Herod heard about it, he was very upset. Everybody say upset. He was very upset. Everyone in Jerusalem was troubled too. So Herod called together all the chief priests of the people. He also called the teachers of the law. He asked them where the Messiah was going to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied. This is what the prophet has written. He said, but you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are certainly not the least important among the towns of Judah. A ruler will come out of you. He will rule my people, Israel, like a shepherd. All right? So they're looking for this King Jesus. Herod hears about this, and Herod's not too happy. And Herod's not too happy because if you remember, Herod is a king himself. So Herod is threatened by Jesus. So Herod's trying to figure out what is going on. We're going to keep reading in verse 7. And verse 7 says this: then Herod secretly called for the wise men. He found out from them exactly when the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem. He said, go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report it to me. Everybody say report. He says, as soon as you find him, report it to me. So he's now sending them out. He said, wise men, I heard you looking for them. Here's where I think where they are. They're going to be this way. Keep following that. But as soon as you find them, come bring me a report back so that I know where he is also. And then it keeps on saying in verse 9, it says this: after the wise men had listened to the king, they went on their way. The star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them. It finally stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were filled with joy. Everybody say joy. They were filled with joy. The wise men went to the house. There they saw the child with his mother Mary. They bowed down and worshiped him. Then they opened their treasures. They gave him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But God warned them in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they returned to their country on a different road. Okay? So we just read in the story of the wise men where they started following the star. They were asking where they can find Jesus. They talked to King Herod. They gave him some information, and they went on their way. They found Jesus. They brought their gifts to him. And then as they were about to go back, they get a dream that tells them not to go back to Herod. So they change their plans. They change where they're going to go and how they're going to navigate in order to listen to that dream. And I believe that there's some things that we can kind of just glean and take from these wise men as they went on this journey of finding Jesus, right? So here's the first thing I want us to look at is this. They followed the star, right? They followed the star, and what that means for us is we can follow our star, which is Jesus, right? So the first observation I want us to notice is this, is that we, throughout the school year, throughout this next year, not just Christmas, we can commit to following Jesus, right? They committed to follow the star. You got to understand, when they're trying to look at the star is essentially their guide. So they don't know where they're actually going. They don't know where they're going to wind up. Yet, they are trusting in the star, that the star will lead them to where they need to be. I feel like 4th and 5th graders, I feel like that is our journey at times when we choose to follow Jesus. We may not know where we're going to wind up. We may not know where we're going to end up, but we can commit to following Jesus. Everybody say, follow Jesus. We can commit to following Jesus. Whether we're at school, whether we're at home, whether we find ourselves doing sports, we can commit to following Jesus. And one of the things we like to talk about here is that we like to pattern our lives after Jesus. So when Jesus asks us to do something, part of following him is doing. So an extension of just celebrating Christmas and celebrating Jesus is that we can actually do that throughout the year as we choose to commit our lives to him and choose to continue to follow Jesus. Say that one more time. Follow Jesus. that's the first thing I want us to look at. That's the first observation is that we can follow Jesus to continue the celebration of what Christmas is all about. Second thing I want to talk about or I want to observe is we can give our best, right? We can give our best. When we look at the story of the wise men, we see that they came with their gifts, right? They came with their gifts for Jesus, but more than just the gifts, it was the best that they could have given, right? They gave their best to Jesus, and we can also give our best to Jesus. Has anybody ever had an adult that's told them like, hey man, I think you could do better. I think you really need to give your best to this situation. Has anybody ever had an adult that told them that, right? So that you can give your best to the situation. When I think of giving our best to this situation, I actually think of this movie. But before I get into the movie, I want to talk about Christmas movies for a second. Anybody like Christmas movies? Okay. I want to know what is some of our top Christmas movies. Raise your hand. What is some of our top Christmas movies? Talk to me. Home Alone. Okay. What about you? Elf. Okay. I like it. What about you? The Grinch. Okay, The Grinch. What about you? Charlie Brown. Okay. What about you? The Boy Who Cried Christmas. Okay, what about you? The Christmas Story. Mr. Kevin in the back. Die Hard. Is that a Christmas movie? That's to some. I like it. Put your hands down. I like all of your Christmas movies, but let me tell you, my favorite Christmas movie of all time, the favorite Christmas movie of all time is obviously Home Alone. It's Home Alone, y'all. It's Home Alone. It is the greatest Christmas movie ever, right? But listen up. Let me tell you, for those of you that have watched it before or haven't watched it before, I'll wait. For those of you that have watched it before or have not watched it before, there's this character in it named Kevin, right? All right, like Mr. Kev, right? There's a character in the name Kevin, right? And Kevin winds up being left home alone, all by himself. And at the beginning of the movie, we can see Kevin, he's jumping on the bed, he's eating all the ice cream, he's doing all the things. But at one point in the movie, Kevin kind of turns and he's just mature within himself, and he finds himself doing laundry, right? Anybody ever seen that? He brings down the laundry, he's doing laundry, and then he goes grocery shopping, right? That's what I think about. Listen up. That's what I think about when I think about giving your best, right? Kevin was by himself, right? He could have just been doing whatever he wanted to do, but even though no one was around, he still gave his best to the situation. So as we look at the wise men giving their best of their gifts, the best of what they had to Jesus, we can continue to celebrate Jesus throughout the year as we give our best to him, whether that's our best through our talents, whether that's our best to our attitudes to the people that are around us and our parents, whether that's our obedience to our parents as we navigate, we can give our best to whatever is in front of us so that we can continue to celebrate Jesus throughout the year. Everybody say, give your best. You can give your best. Here's the last thing I want to look at is this. They obey Jesus, right? So it says that they had a plan, and in that plan, they were going to go see Jesus, and then they were going to go back to King Herod to go tell King Herod about where he was. But then it says that he had a dream. It says, but God warned them in a dream not to go back to Herod, so they returned to their country on a different road. Here's what I want you to see in this. They returned to their country on a different road. So what God was asking them to do was an inconvenience, right? If they had in their mind or their plan that they were just going to go this way, it probably was going to be easier to just go and take the road back way to where they were going to go, the way that they had it planned, so they didn't have to go and reconfigure all the things and do all the things. But no, they chose to still obey Jesus, obey God despite the inconvenience that might bring them. So I think that's one of the last things I think we can bring into this year as we celebrate Christmas coming up, but then celebrating Christmas and Jesus throughout the whole year is, what does it look like to obey Jesus? And you're in fourth and fifth grade. Some of you are going to be fourth graders, are going to be fifth graders in a little bit. Fifth graders are going to be sixth graders a little bit. You're going to be like, man, what is it? What do you mean obey Jesus? I don't feel like I know specifically what it is. Well, let me tell you something. As a fourth grader or a fifth grader, I know right now you probably have dreams and visions of what fifth grade is going to look like, or what sixth grade is going to look like, and who your friends are going to be, and what school you're going to be at. But let me tell you something. Those things are going to change. Everybody say change. Those things are going to change, and sometimes it's going to be in your control. It's going to be outside of your control. But as those things change, who is your steady? Jesus, right? So if we bring ourselves back to learning what it means to obey that, learning what it means to obey our parents, right? Because things may change in their world, which may cause things to change within your world. You have an opportunity to obey Jesus as we navigate this next year. Here's the bottom line. Here's what I just want to remind you guys. Here's what I want y'all to take away from this, and it's this. It's that Christmas reminds us who Jesus is, right? Christmas reminds us who Jesus is, but we celebrate him by how we live every day. You see, Christmas is a great reminder of who Jesus is and how we get to celebrate what that is, and we get to see the Christmas story presentation, and we get to be with family, and we celebrate by giving each other gifts and all those things. That's a great reminder, but it's only to remind us to celebrate him by how we live every single day.